Hi everyone, today we're going to be talking about equation applications using formulas. Many times we will need to use formulas to find an unknown measurement when all of the other measurements are listed. This section will focus on using formulas to identify and solve for that unknown. Many of these formulas will be familiar to you, but in some cases there will be new formulas. Use these new formulas as a learning experience to build confidence. Ask questions, be curious. Example 1 says, a parallelogram has height 1/2 inch and area 1.9 inches. What is the base measurement? So the area of a parallelogram is the base times the height, given by this formula here. And we know that the area based on the given information is 1.9 inches and the height is 1/2 inch. So I'll put 0.5 and we want to multiply this by the base measurement, but we don't know what the base measurement is. So in order to solve for that, what we can do is we can divide both sides by 0.5. So I will do that. I will divide both sides by 0.5. And on the right-hand side, 0.5b divided by 0.5. These divide out and give us 1. And so we're left with b equals 1.9 divided by 0.5. And if I pull up my handy-dandy calculator, 1.9 divided by 0.5 gives us 3.8. So the base is 3.8 inches long. Example 2 says a cylinder has a surface area that can be calculated using the formula surface area equals 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h. If the surface area is 87.96 square inches and the radius is 2 inches, what is the height of the cylinder? So surface area is equal to 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi rh. Now we know some of these values, so let's go ahead and plug those in. We know that surface area is 87.96 is equal to 2 pi, and we know that the radius is 2. So anywhere I see an r, I'm going to replace it with a 2. And the only value we don't know here is h. So let's do some simplification here. I have 87.96 is equal to 2 squared is 4, and then 4 times 2 pi would give us 8 pi, and then plus 2 times 2 pi is 4 pi, and then times h. So the first thing that we want to do here is we want to, well, our overall goal is to get h by itself. So the very first thing we want to do is we want to subtract 8 pi on both sides. So if we do that, we get 87.96 minus 8 pi is equal to 4 pi times h. Again, we're trying to get h by itself, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to divide both sides by 4 pi. So those will divide out and we'll get that h is equal to 87.96 minus 8 pi over 4 pi. Let's throw that into our calculator. So my numerator is 87.96 minus 8. And if you don't know where the pi button is, you want to hit second, and then it's on the exponent symbol. So I push that, and that will give me pi. And then I want to close the parentheses divided by 4 pi. And I'll hit enter. And so our height is about 4.999, 96 inches. And notice that the surface area is given to 2 decimal places. So I'm just going to round the height to, I should use the squiggly lines, to 5.00 inches. The big ideas in exercises to follow are: step 1, identify the shape's known dimensions; 2, identify the shape's unknown dimensions; and 3, determine the unknown via a process of elimination, otherwise in these scenarios, solving an equation. So how do we solve an equation? Well, first we want to simplify any parentheses or groupings by distributing through via multiplication on one or both sides of the equals sign as needed. Then we want to combine any like terms and or clear fractions if the denominators don't match using a least common multiple as needed. Then we want to use addition or subtraction to isolate the term with the desired variable. And lastly, we want to use multiplication or division to isolate the variable in a term with integers or fractions attached. Let's go ahead and utilize those steps that we just mentioned in order to solve an equation. Now, I would like you to come up with your own example in this section. I'm just going to make up an equation off the top of my head. So let's do 4x minus 3 is equal to 7 times x plus 2. And we want to solve this for x. And so the first thing we want to do is we want to distribute the 7 in on the right-hand side. So we'd get 4x minus 3 is equal to, I want to multiply the 7 to both of these terms, and that would give us 7x plus 14. Now I want to combine any like terms or clear fractions. There are no fractions here, and on the left and right-hand side, the like terms are already combined. So now basically we want to get everything that has a variable on one side and everything that does not have a variable on the other. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 7x on both sides of our equation. And if I do that, 7x minus 7x is 0, so those will cancel out. And then we'll be left with negative 3x minus 3 equals 14. Now what I want to do is everything that doesn't have a variable, I want to get it to the right-hand side. So I'm going to add 3 to both sides. And the reason that we're adding 3 is negative 3 plus positive 3 results in 0. So that leaves us with negative 3x on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, we'll have 14 plus 3, which is 17. And then following our steps on how to solve an equation, the last thing we want to do is use multiplication or division to isolate the variable in a term with integers or fractions attached. So lastly, I want to use division in this case. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 3. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 is 1, so we'll be left with x equals negative 17 over 3. And that fraction is not reducible, and so it is in simplest form, so our final answer is x equals negative 17 over 3.